Hey. Hi, you guys. Welcome to Digital Discussions. Come on in the room. Come on in. Hang out with us tonight on Wednesday night.
Welcome. Come on in.
Come on in the room. It's Wednesday night.
Say hello when you get in here.
Yes. Come on. Room people.
Good. A lot of things. It's the last one, though. I'm crashing it.
Let's see. See if we can get some people to join us tonight. Come on in the room. Join us tonight. We got a cool topic to share with y'all. Come on in the room, people. I want to invite you in tonight. Join us tonight.
Got a few people in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. We got a cool topic to share with y'all tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Stay with us tonight. It's going to be an hour of power. It's going to be super fun. Got some good stuff to share with y'all tonight.
Say hello to us when you get in here. Hey, Maki, how are you?
Hey, girl.
Good to see you. Watching your baby girl do track, been amazing. See what all your girls have done, and your son too.
Yes.
You have been actually really following from a distance, but proud of what y'all did. The Bracy team, what y'all did with Fire. What is it called? Fire.
GR Fire.
Yes, GR Fire. Yes. Hey, Nina, how are you? Good to see you.
Hey. We're going to jump into our topic in about 30 seconds. Can you put the timer on? Let's put our timer on. We're going to jump into our topic for tonight. It's time.
Yes, it's time.
Is that time?
Let's do it.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. If you could rewind the time, let's just say back to, before you were married. That guy?
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Talk about, if we could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self? But before we dig into that, let's introduce ourselves and why we are even on here today.
So we are Daryl and Kaya Delaney, and we are here with this venue called Digital Discussions, where we create and facilitate life-giving conversations where all people can thrive, equipping, encouraging, inspiring, and authentic online community. We want to make sure we have a place where we can keep it real, have a place where it can be fun, we can speak truth, we can speak it in love, learn from each other's experiences, and you all have a place where you can come to be encouraged.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be using the social media platform for us to just kick it. People can learn a little bit about who we are, and we can learn a little bit about who people are, share stories, and just encourage each other. That's really what this is about tonight. You want to dig into our topic for tonight?
Okay, here's what we got. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self? Oh my goodness. Man, I know 20 years ago, some of the young people I know now wouldn't be born yet. It's kind of crazy. I was a little squirrely. I was still trying to figure out life, got to make decisions, had a lot of issues, and I'm recovering from a lot of those issues, but we're in progress, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
But I would love to get the time machine to go back and talk some sense into that young person. It's like, get your little narrow self over here. I got something to tell you.
Yeah, I would definitely, man, we want to go back. Let me see. We're going to share a lot of our pictures with you from back in the day. And so I'm going to go all the way back to high school. Y'all ready? No judging. There she is. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's me in high school. I think I was in 9th grade. Milk commercial. And this young lady, I would tell her that she's enough. I would encourage her to be who she is, be her authentic self. I would tell her that she is loved and that she deserves respect. That's what I would tell my high school self.
Now, why would you do that? Why would you tell her that?
I would tell her that because in high school, I felt like I settled a lot. And it was a lot of peer pressure, and it was a lot of wanting to fit in and wanting to be liked. But if I could have learned at an earlier age just to be my authentic self, I think that would have helped with a lot of decisions that I made in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see where this is going.
Yes.
I see where this is going.
Okay, talk to us.
This little guy here,
Okay.
back in high school himself. Real skinny young dude right there. I would tell that guy to give yourself grace, because I was really hard on myself for making mistakes. I felt like there was high stakes and high emotions attached to the things that I felt like I needed to do. And whenever I messed up, it could be something as small as missing a free throw in a basketball game. I would get so down on myself. Oh, it was so hard. And then even when I started walking with Jesus as a young Christian, I just kept going back and forth and falling off and making mistakes. Okay, God, I'm sorry. I want to do it again. Okay, God, I'm sorry this week. Just over and over. So being able to say, hey, this is part of the progress. And thank God for that, not perfection. I think that was one of the things. I was a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist.
I'm still a perfectionist.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I still have that really bad. All right, guys, we're going to keep going down memory lane, knowing what you know now. What would you tell your younger self? That's our topic for tonight. We're just going to kick it. We're going to share openly about what we would tell our younger self. We're going to share some pictures of us from back in the day. We're going to invite you into the room to share what you would tell your younger self. We want you to come into the room. We want you to be a part of our conversation tonight. Jump into the chat and join us. Okay.
What's up, Keon?
Hey, Keon. All right, so here is another picture. All right, I'm going to cover the people, I'm going to cover my two friends, but right here, okay. All right, so this little girl right here is an 8th grader. She is at her 8th grade dance. Come through, turquoise. Yes. So that 8th grade year was a hard year for me. I remember being in basketball and not knowing what I was doing in basketball and throwing the basketball in the wrong hoop. And after that, it was a wrap. Like the end of 8th grade going into 9th grade was a hot mess because I was teased about that mistake. I never played basketball again. But I would tell that young lady from the bullying aspect to forgive yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, not to isolate, and not to walk in shame and guilt. Like
Ooh.
for me, that was a huge part of my 8th grade year. Is really knowing who I was and trying not to walk in shame and embarrassing me. So that's it.
Yeah, I do. So I think that one of the things that I think is very important is forgive. I would tell my younger self to forgive. So, back in the day, there's a lot of people around me who, they held a lot of grudges when you did something wrong. And they made you pay every time. They would remind you. I still remember what you did. And for some reason, I grew up in that kind of environment, but also I internalized that kind of environment. So then when people came cut across me or disrespected me, I was like, okay, I see how you do. So then I would withdraw my affection, I would withdraw my love. And you experienced a little bit of this when you first got married.
Yes.
Like you ain't in the room, I don't hear you, I don't see you, look, you're not here. And that actually was really painful. But also, not just forgiving those people out there, but more importantly, forgiving me forgiving myself and saying, hey, why don't you thank God for progress and not perfection? And why don't you give yourself grace to actually forgive? Because unforgiveness, I don't know if y'all know this, but unforgiveness is like the poison you drink thinking everybody else is.
That's deep. I remember hearing that a long time ago. It's really powerful. Can we invite some people into the room? What would you tell your younger self knowing what you know now? Come into the chat. Go ahead and throw it in there. Share with us. What would you tell that 20-year-old girl? What would you tell that 19-year-old young man? How would you counsel them? How would you encourage her? How would you encourage him? There are a lot of times in our lives when we look back and be like, man, if I would have known what I know now. This is what our conversation is about tonight in Digital Discussions. We just want to fan the flame around some ideas concerning what you would tell your younger self. And so I'm just going to go to another picture. I'm just going, You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This one right here, y'all. Ooh, it's bright. That's the Holy Ghost. You see that?
Shekinah.
You see the Shekinah on her? You see her? You see the Shekinah?
I see her.
Okay. So I would tell this bride, you don't have to be perfect. You don't know it all. And it takes time. Becoming one flesh takes time. So I would tell her that, and I would tell her that you are enough and you are all that your husband wants and desires. And I would walk in that way. You hear me?
Yes.
And so that is what I would tell that young bride. I would tell her her weight is just fine the way she is. I would tell her that she don't have to do all these diets. And that it's okay to receive love. Right?
Yeah.
I came into my marriage with a lot of insecurity.
Come on.
I came into my marriage with a lot of insecurity. I had a great husband. I was excited for what God had done. But this young little girl still had a lot of growing up to do, and she still had a lot of healing that needed to take place and still taking place. We want to talk about it tonight. And so I would tell my younger bride self to be gentle to yourself.
Yeah.
How you?
So
you want to show him?
There's this one, but then there's this one.
All right. Go ahead.
So this guy here, this is right before I got married. And then this is right here, honeymoon Daryl. Right here.
Talk about it tonight.
So as a young guy, I would tell that newlywed to learn to communicate. So I didn't know. I thought I was going to be able to avoid all conflict.
We're going to pray about it every time.
We're going to not argue if we're in the spirit.
And we're not going to bed mad. How about that?
Do not let the sun go down
Listen.
on while you are still angry, all of that.
Right.
And see, so here's the thing. I didn't know how to communicate very well. I was shut down when I got upset. And that was a problem because nobody taught this young man how to communicate what I needed. So if we can be real about that, where we come from as young African American men is that we're taught to be tough and show no emotion and try to hold back your tears and all this other stuff. But what I found is that according to the book that Jason Wilson wrote called Cry Like a Man, that is emotional incarceration. When you do not show emotion, when we're emotional beings, and it doesn't mean you're soft if you share you hurt or you're disappointed or you can't do it or you need some help. I was taught the man way was not that. And that's a problem, especially in this marriage relationship. So I tell this young guy, quit trying to be tough all the time. Quit trying to be a superhero all the time. Act like you ain't got no hurt. She could see the pain in your eyes. But at that moment, wasn't even able to communicate to let you know how I was feeling. So I would go back and tell him, you can trust her and you can share these deep emotional things. And you haven't had any places to share that, but now you do. That's what I was saying.
You just tapped on something really deep. Telling your younger self that you can trust me. I had to tell myself over and over, he's a safe guy. He's safe. You can trust him. You can count on him. You know, he's not perfect, but he loves you. He wants what's best for y'all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would really try to tell my younger self, like, no, he's not like other guys, right? Give him a chance. And so let's go into the chat and see.
I see some stuff in
Yes,
here.
some stuff coming in. Let's see.
So Pastor JR Pittman, he says, face your conflicts head on. Don't shy back on hard discussions when it comes to yourself. That's what I would share with that younger man. So what I'm understanding him to say is that to avoid conflict and hard discussions would never help the relationship. And there's a degree of fear that we have in that situation. But if you face that conflict, you won't be sorry. And so I really think that's powerful, Pastor. I think that's great. Sister Nina, she says, I would tell my younger self to know your worth. Wow, what do you think that means? That's powerful.
I mean, as a young lady, as a young African American lady in a relationship prior to marriage, I can definitely understand where Nina is coming from. Where sometimes, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but also from my perspective, where we settle and we don't know our worth, so we settle for what is available, who's giving us attention, who's spending time with us, and in settling, we miss out on who God really has for us. And so a lot of I'll speak from my perspective is from daddy hurt, right? And so not being able to know how you should be treated, how you should be respected, how you should be honored and taken care of. When you don't learn that, then you'll fall for anything almost. Because there is no standard, there is no bar, right? And so I like how you take our daughter out and you open the door for her and you pull her chair out. Because when a knucklehead comes to her, he will hopefully think back to how her dad treated her.
Hey, listen, you have to come better than flowers, homie. My daddy got me flowers.
That's right.
Really? That's all you got?
That's right. That's right.
Come
Anybody
on.
else in the chat? What would you tell your younger self, y'all? We're talking about knowing what you know now. What would you tell your younger self? What would you tell your 19-year-old self? What would you tell your 10-year-old self? Your 30-year-old self? Let's talk about it tonight. I see a lot of comments.
These are people joining.
Awesome. Come on in the room tonight. We're so excited to have you tonight. We're talking about knowing what you know now. What would you tell your younger self? So
Yeah.
all right, let's see. I'm going to pull one out for you. And I want you to talk about it, okay?
All right.
All right, here is the next picture.
That's
Knowing what you know,
the
dear.
firstborn baby boy.
Okay.
The firstborn baby boy. So I would tell that young guy who's never been a dad before, I would tell him that it's okay to learn what it means to be a dad. So my dad was in the army most of my life. We have a very healthy relationship. I would visit him when he was stateside a lot, but he wasn't in the house with me every single day. And so I was like, I don't know if I could do this because I ain't never done it before. I've seen people do it. I've seen grandparents, I've seen friends who have parents in their house every single day. And I was like, remember, the guy that you're looking at is a perfectionist and you don't want to make any mistakes. But I would say to him, number one, if God didn't trust you, you wouldn't have that kid there. And number two, as you do what you know to do and hang around people who are older than you, then you will actually become the father on the way. So then I look back and I'm like, I'm doing it. All right, okay, I'm doing it. I didn't think that would happen as fast as it did, but I was really blessed by the community I had around me that was mentors and father figures. But also, I was able to learn that it's okay to learn to learn. So give myself a chance to get steps to process one day at a time.
Okay. So it's okay to have a surrogate mom or a surrogate dad.
Oh yeah.
And how beneficial that was in your life.
Definitely.
Fatherhood.
I had my biological dad who was definitely, but I also had these spiritual fathers around me in the community of faith, like Pastor J.R. Pittman was one of them. I had these other men who were in our church, Brother Melvin and Brother Wayne Britt, and these guys, they actually came around me and embraced me, and they've been married for years and years. So they were able to help me because their kids were grown, they've been through all the stages. If I had tough questions, I would ask these men. I needed all of that. That was very helpful.
Definitely. So I found another picture. Here we go. Here she is. See that? 99. This is a senior picture. Okay. You see that Bible? You see the Word of God in the picture? Look at that. That's prophetic, y'all. That is so prophetic.
Tell them why.
My aunt put that Bible in my hand during my senior picture. And I didn't really want to do it because I wasn't walking in faith like that. I wasn't churchy like that. But she was like, you need to take a picture with a Bible. It's prophetic because I didn't really grow up in church like that. And so it's amazing how, looking back, how I would hold the Word of God anytime and take a picture with it. Just because of my relationship with Him now. There's no shame, right? Unapologetic. And so, yeah.
That was before Christ.
That was before
BC.
Christ. Yes.
So look, here's another one from Pastor J.R. He says, 3 minutes of sex isn't worth a lifetime of hurt and regard. Save yourself for the right partner.
Okay, Pastor.
Waiting till you're married. Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Well, Pastor, let me ask you this and comment in the chat. What if you already did it? You already have sex.
What if it's too late?
Is it too late? Can we talk about that tonight? Come on.
Well, I mean,
we're gonna wait for Pastor to answer that. I want to hear that one. Because it ain't. I mean, everybody ain't a virgin. Come on, let's be real tonight.
Everybody didn't keep themselves.
Listen, I like what he said though.
It's a good point.
It's definitely a good point. Let's see if we get Pastor back. I see my mom is on the chat.
Hey, Nana, how are you?
What would you tell your younger self, Mom? You have something?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You got another one?
Nah, this is just people chiming in. Look, go ahead. So, yeah.
Knowing what you know, what would you tell your younger self?
Mm-hmm.
Man, oh, I got another one. I would tell myself, keep your credit clean.
Oh, credit. What's that? Because I didn't know nothing about credit when I was young.
Keep your credit clean, Kaya. Don't go buying stuff you can't pay for, Kaya. That's what I would tell her. Okay?
Credit.
Yes.
Oh, that's important.
Become financially literate, Kaya.
Oh, yeah. Hey, cousin Sam, how are you? Good to see you.
Don't try to keep up with the Joneses, Kaya. Those are the things I would tell my younger self. Anybody else in the chat? What would you tell your younger self?
I see rich people that walk around looking like regular, but I see poor people trying to look rich
Man, talk about it.
and get broke trying to look rich.
Yep.
Instead, when the people who have most money is dressing as modestly and as calmly as ever, they're not spending a lot of money. Steve Jobs was a billionaire while driving around in this little Uzi car. He wasn't trying to show everybody his money and all that. And that is a wisdom.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Let's talk about this guy.
Oh, so do you see that red and khaki, y'all?
Hey.
That is the Target version. The Target version. That is not Meyer. That is Target. Okay, so I worked at Target from 2002 to 2006. We had just got married in 2004. So this was the first job that I kept. So I would say, be responsible is what I would tell him. Because the job I had before him, I was irresponsible and got myself fired because I didn't take the job seriously. And the bad news is there was somebody at church, a pastor, who hooked me up with the position. So I made his reputation look bad in case somebody else came after me. So I learned from that was the last time I got fired from any other job. I'll tell you to this day, it's still working, but actually be responsible. So when I got married, her sisters were staying with her and it was a package deal for me to marry all of y'all. I married all of y'all. I didn't just marry just you.
That's right.
And so I needed to keep that little job where I was forwarding shirts and checking lanes.
That's right.
Because we had to contribute to help pay some of them bills.
That's right.
I can't come in and say, oops, I lost the job. What are we going to do? That's not going to happen because we have people depending on us. So being responsible is what I tell you.
Anybody else in the chat?
Sam, my cousin, she
Hey,
said
Sam.
I would tell her to go to college. Man. So you know how when you look back, hindsight is 20/20 is what they used to say. Hindsight is 20/20. When you look back, it looks much clearer.
Yes.
But just imagine how far you would have been and had you taken up that and faced that fear and gone ahead and went to college earlier. How far along would you? So this is not designed to make anybody feel regret or guilt or shame, but this is about what you would have told your younger self. Now that you know what you know, how could you help go back in the time machine and school your old self? That's what this is about.
Absolutely.
Take your time and enjoy life. So young people don't really pay close attention to this because they think they got a zillion days ahead of them. Oh, we got time? Oh man, we'll deal with that later. Procrastinator's creed. Why do today what you can do tomorrow?
Yeah.
So when I was younger, it was like, I got time. And I felt like that about my faith before I came to InterVarsity and saw young people my age not waiting to get older to serve Jesus. But then you can take time to enjoy your life, have some fun. That was one of the things that I learned. Cool. That was one of the things that I learned. This guy here, who graduated from community college, I would tell him, have some fun, dude. Because he was real serious about a whole lot of things. Like the whole world was on his shoulders. Like he had to figure out everything. Like the people who knew me when I was younger, they seen the serious face I kept on. So because my face was so serious, that Target job, they gave me the security job, put me at the front door. So when people walked by and I'd be like, then they would get nervous. So they used this serious face, but I took a lot of things really hard. So having fun, enjoying myself, that's something that I need. And I'm glad I'm doing it now.
Man, I can think back off of that. Yeah, the fun place. What is it to have fun? What is it to just laugh and just not have a care in the world? I still need to tell myself that. To lighten up. Like, have some fun. Like, let your hair down. Like, let your curls down.
Yeah.
You know? And so I definitely, I'm still telling myself that. Learning how to play, learning how to have fun.
You got silly kids that help us with that.
That's
so
right.
Good.
Let's see. Do you have any more pictures? Ooh. Here's one. Here you go. That's the proposal, guys? Is that the proposal?
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's a proposal. Oh my goodness. Shoes.
I in front of church, in front of
In
everybody.
front of everybody, y'all. In front of everybody. Okay.
So that's what she wanted. She wanted to be proposed to in front of the church, in front of everybody.
I did want to propose.
If she could have said no, it would have been, I'd have felt embarrassed if she said no. But the pastor that's in the picture, his name's Gary Hankins,
Yes.
and we were at Resurrection Fellowship Church. This is 2003,
Yeah.
September.
Yep.
And so I set up with them to record this and to, ambush her by having some of her friends come. And then she just thought, oh, great, they come to church, awesome. But then, they gave me the microphone. And I was like, I would love for you to be my wife. Would you marry me? Now, I went to her father first.
Amen.
And I went to her mentor first.
Amen.
Her spiritual father.
Yes. Yes.
So I got permission. I did this thing right. It wasn't like a surprise in
Right.
the middle. It was spontaneous. I planned this thing.
Yeah.
So I would tell that young guy, you are capable of being a good husband. Now, I didn't think that was really possible with all the examples I had. And 4 years before that proposal, I was saying, I ain't never.
You too.
I don't trying to hear no marriage. I ain't trying to do none of that. But it's really powerful what God did in our hearts and what He did in my heart to show me, just like with the child, you will become this. Hang around people who have been married 20, 30 years, learn some things. And then the little bit of conflicts that we were having, we found out those are normal.
Right.
Oh,
That
that's
part.
normal.
That
Those are
part.
growing pains.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. We ain't got to pack up and leave.
Man.
We can learn. Okay.
That's right. That's right. What would you tell your younger self? And I'll answer this too. But what would you tell your younger elementary self? Like, we've been doing a lot of, college, older, marriage. Like, you think back to what kind of kid you were and what would tell the little guy in elementary school. What would you tell him? And then I'll share with you.
So the little guy was very active and talkative in class. Got name on the board. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
Name on the board. If you get 3 checks behind your name, you get a pink slip, and you gotta take that home for your mama this time. Now, I got pink slips for talking too much. While the teacher was talking, trying to get everybody to laugh, I think that I would tell that younger guy, don't be what you think everybody else wants you to be, but be who you are. And I didn't really know who that was. So I trained myself on being the class clown and all these other things, because I thought, okay, if they laugh, they're like me, and that'll happen. But I realized that I was the one paying for it by getting detentions, and I was the one paying for it by staying after school. I was the one paying for it by getting pink slips and stuff. I see cousins saying, I'm not by myself in this here situation. You was like that too. But I would tell myself, you are special just the way you are, young man. Don't contort yourself, change yourself, and try to be what you think they like. But be who you are. And if you don't know who that is, that's okay too. Discover him. And don't be afraid if people don't agree or like it or whatever. I think that's what I would say. What about you?
Yeah, I would give myself a lot of hugs. I would have hugged on her so much, and I would have spoken affirmations to her, telling her how smart she was and how beautiful she was and how she loved by God. I would tell her that she is special, and I would tell her not to be afraid.
That was the one I was just going to go to. I would look at the little dude, and I would say, you're safe.
Yes, that part.
Because there are a lot of unstable situations around that made him feel unstable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm not saying that these things were evil or bad. It was just not easy. And, we were like just above the poverty line. And it was like, okay, yeah, you can trust that you're going to be okay. That you're going to be safe. And that you don't have to be afraid. I mean, man, that would have gave me mad courage.
Absolutely.
I see mom is saying, I tell my younger self to put God first and believe in Him. Love yourself. Love your brothers and sisters, no matter what, who, what, why, or whatever the reason. Let's just love each other in Jesus' name. Man, that's powerful. Because if we'd have got that younger, then who knows how our relationships would have gone with God, with one another, with siblings. And that actually could change the whole family direction.
Nina just said she would tell herself, "You are enough." She would
Yeah.
tell her younger self, "You are enough."
Let me tell you something. I need to hear that today.
For real. Yeah.
Not just back then when I was younger. I need to hear that now. You are enough.
Yes.
You're doing enough. What you contributed is enough.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be more. It doesn't need to be proven that you continue to demonstrate and exhaust yourself over some things. And if it's enough, then you can continue.
That's right. That's right. Who else do we have in the chat? Thanks for hanging with us
Hey,
tonight.
Brother Randy, good to see you.
This is Digital Discussions. We are so glad that you're here with us tonight. We're going to do a quick hour of power. Thanks for the input in the chat. Digital Discussions is where we create and facilitate life-giving conversations where all people can thrive through equipping, encouraging, and inspiring in an authentic community. Where we kick it and talk about all kinds of things. Tonight, our topic for tonight is knowing what you know now. What would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give them? What advice would you give her? Go ahead and put it into the chat. Let's have a conversation about it tonight. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging with us tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, we're like 20 minutes left there.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I would like to go a little bit deeper here. So there's one situation that I would tell my younger self. And my dad was very good at asking this question. And so what I would say to my younger self is plan the attack and then attack the plan. My dad, that was his number one question. What is your plan? What is the plan? And if I couldn't tell him the plan, then I had to go back to the drawing board. But what he taught me was that it's important to have a plan. If that plan don't work, what's your plan B, your fallback? And to have a plan when you set goals in life, a plan when you want to achieve something down the road. He taught me that having a plan is important. And then you get to seek people who have done things that you want to do and ask them to help you to plan. So it's not bad to have plans. Even though the Lord directs your course, the man still or the woman still can make plans. You're sitting around not planning anything. You didn't plan to fail, but here you are because you failed to plan. That's what I'm saying.
Let's go back into the chat.
There's people jumping in.
What would you tell your younger self? Hi, Randy. Hi, Nina. Sandra's still hanging with us tonight. Thanks for hanging with us. I'm so glad that you're with us tonight. Knowing what you know, what would you tell your younger self? You get to sit across the table from him. You get to sit across the table from her. What are you speaking into your younger self? What are you saying? How are you encouraging? How are you coddling?
What's up, Q?
Hey, Q! Good to see you. What would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now? Let me get another picture.
Oh, that would be awesome to hear who you guys are.
Yes, we want you to come into the room. This is a discussion. We want to hear from you. What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, I know another one also. So let me go back to the target dude. Okay, this target dude right here. He was making $11 an hour as a manager of the cashier, front lines, team leader. And I just want to say to this younger guy, you know, small beginnings are not bad. That's what I would say to him. Because if he could get in a futuristic vehicle and come to where we are now and see what God has brought us through and the level that we are on now, then his mind would be blown. He wouldn't even believe it. So not that we're like rich and famous or anything, But we are is moving from faith to faith and glory to glory, going from another level to another level. And so he started out with a 11-mile-an-hour job, and that is your car, because my Jetta was on the one I got from Pastor J. I ran it until the muffler was so loud you could not hear me think, you talk, nothing. You could hear me coming from miles away. Oh, there you go. That's him.
I'd be like, let me get my coat on. Daryl up the street. He on his way.
That muffler was so loud, and I ain't have enough money to fix it. I actually rode it until it didn't ride no more. So just saying, look, humble beginnings doesn't mean you're going to stay there. You know, you can start off small as long as you know you're going to grow and you're going to keep working. I would say that.
You know, I would tell my younger self, it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to ask for help. You're not dumb if you ask for help. You know, you're not any less than if you ask for help, right? So getting the courage and the boldness to seek help, to seek counsel, especially from people who are older than me. I do it a lot now, but my younger self, I want to ask for nobody for no help. I didn't want to be seen as weak, right? And so I would encourage my younger self to ask for help, to be vulnerable, to display some humility, to be able to glean from people who know more than you, right? And to trust others. Like I would tell myself all of that because I was in a bubble. I had a lot of trouble trusting. And so it took many years for me to come outside of that and realize that everybody ain't out to get you. And everybody is not going to let you down. And everybody's not going to be inconsistent. There are good people in the world. There are good people who want to walk alongside you. And you don't have to be afraid. And so those are some of the things that I would tell younger Kaya.
Yes.
Definitely.
So Cousin Sam says, I would tell my younger self, you can do it.
Oh.
How many people have never really heard a lot of that when they were younger and wish they would have been told by somebody important in their life that you can do it? It's something when somebody significant to you can speak that into you. Like, I believe in you. You can do it. You can change. You can achieve anything you want to achieve. When you hear a person that's important to you say that, you pretty much can do anything. You feel like you can run through a wall. You feel like you could fly for a few seconds. You feel like you could do anything. And that, it gives you strength when people believe in you, especially if they care about you.
That's good. So good. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for that. Who else in the chat? Chris Courtman, welcome.
Hello.
What would you tell your younger self?
Knowing what you know now.
Knowing what you know now.
What would you tell your younger self? Yeah.
I'm going to go back to my beginning college days. I would tell my younger first-time college self, don't you take that financial aid and spend it on stuff you don't need. How about you use that financial aid for what it's meant to be used for?
You mean that God didn't give you that money so you can buy stuff? Yeah, they have this thing called a promissory note, where you have to promise that you would pay it back and that you would use it. I'm just telling you that that's the government. That's what they said. They're watching us. We better watch out. Okay. So, Miss Eleanor says, I would also tell my younger self to listen to my mom.
Always listen to my mom.
So, mom does know something.
Yes, she gives some life.
When we get old enough to smell ourselves,
come on, talk about
we think we know more than them.
Yeah.
But you know, we don't have nearly half of the life experience that they have.
Right.
So when we bump our head a few hundred times, we realize, oh, that's what they're saying makes sense now. But they was trying to get it to us before, so we wouldn't have to bump our head. Why would it make sense for 2 people to bump their head when the first one already went and said, you don't want to go down there?
That's right.
If we listen, we might learn something.
That's good, Mom. Thank you for sharing that.
I would say to this young guy,
pictures here. Wow. Wanna do him again?
Yeah. So this young guy right here. This guy's young. So what I would say to him is that you don't have to be in a relationship with people who don't return the same energy. So check this out. I would be in relationships with people and friends and girlfriends and all this, and I would be doing all the work. I would be doing all the calling. I would be doing all the chasing. I'd be doing all the arranging, all the planning. And that was me trying to be a good friend or boyfriend, whatever. And I was giving 90%, they was giving 10. And I learned that, you know what, if they're not people who are gonna match that level of intensity or that energy, then I'm not gonna bend over backwards and foster myself and allow them to take advantage of me and think that that's a relationship, because that's not a relationship. It takes two to do that, and it needs to be equal and matching energy from both people. And I didn't learn that until I got older.
Yeah, I can agree. Like even with this friendships.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always calling you. I'm always checking on you, and you are never calling me or checking on me. I had to reevaluate where I'm putting my time.
Hello.
Like that's huge, and that is so important. And even as an adult, sometimes we have friendships that are for a season.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so just reevaluating friendships and relationships to see, okay, is this still working? And if it's not, communicating that.
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing, like, what's the next level? Are we done, or do we continue on? And so being able to communicate that. I would also tell my younger self, take risks.
Oh, that one.
Can you take some risk out here? Like, we're playing it safe all the time.
Ooh.
Can you take some risks?
Okay.
It's okay to take risks. It's okay to make mistakes. Like, I would tell Kaya that, like, girl, it's not the end of the world. It's okay to make mistakes. You know, having that perfectionist spirit, like, you can't never make mistakes. You can't never, you know, you're paralyzed because you're scared to make the wrong mistake. Like, I would talk to her now, and I would talk to her back then. Found something.
So the meme I saw today based on that said a move that you're scared to make just might be the move. So, you know, we might have to take risks in order to get to that place. We got to leave our comfort zone. To get what you never got, you got to do what you never did. I ain't saying be foolish and jump out without a parachute. Remember, have a plan, but also remember that if you don't take risks, you may never move out of your comfort zone, and now you live in a life of regret, looking back saying, dang, I missed that opportunity. I woulda, shoulda, coulda, and then you feel miserable, have regret. Woo!
Man.
Hey, Nicole Sanders, she says, man, I would echo some of those things about vulnerability. I'd also tell myself that just because you're used to things being challenging and difficult doesn't mean they have to be the norm. Everything doesn't have to be a fight.
Ooh, come on, Q.
So Q, I learned something about this. There are therapists that say that we could actually be addicted to drama because drama and trauma are the norm in this person's life. So when things are normally natural and actually healthy, they get suspicious and they make some crazy so that it goes back to the chaos they're familiar with. And they sabotage the good, not even knowing that that's what they're doing because they're addicted to the trauma. And so if I'm used to living in a minefield with all these explosions in it, and it's dead calm, I'm like, wait, whoa, what's this? This is unfamiliar. I'm gonna make some crazy in order for it to feel normal with me. I'm used to hearing explosions. I'm used to hearing people fighting, cussing, and throwing things. And I'm used to fist fights, and I'm used to, but if that's not happening, and God's trying to heal us and bring us out of there and bring us to a calm place, then sometimes we sabotage it unknowingly. I would recommend therapy for that. But I mean, I had to go through therapy to understand I was even doing that. So yeah, that's really powerful, Q. I'm like, man, that's powerful.
Good stuff. We're coming up on 10 minutes left. Yeah, that went by fast.
Yeah.
Super fast.
Yeah. Are there other things?
Other things you want to share in the chat. Knowing what you know now. tell yourself?
Oh, I got one. So I don't know which young guy I need to look at. Maybe this guy here is about 25, 26. No, I got married at 27. He doesn't fully know himself as of yet. So I would say know yourself. I haven't taken enough time at that age to know who I am, what I like, what I don't like, what's good for me, what's not good for me. And I needed to do a little self-discovery. And that comes from understanding your family, your background, the things you were raised with. We came into the marriage with our own sets of cultural rules and things that we thought were right and wrong. And I did not fully understand it to be able to articulate it to you, let alone live with it myself.
Yes, I got one. All right, so here she is. I'm in the red right there.
Ain't they both of you?
No, that's my sister.
Oh.
One of my sisters up in the other one, but I'm not gonna show her face. Okay, so this is a senior picture of mine. Okay, and what I would tell Kaya.
Wait, who's that?
What I would tell Kaya, I would tell this senior in high school to forgive her parents. Girl, forgive your parents. They did the best they could. Don't walk around bitter and angry. Cultivate a relationship with your mom and dad. Right?
Yeah.
While I walk around in so much anger and bitterness, I missed out on them. Right? So it's just like what you said earlier with forgiveness. Like you drinking the poison thinking it's gonna hurt somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So holding on to that resentment and that anger, like that, you know, it could have been less if I would have decided back then just let things go. And praise God that they're still around. And cultivate a relationship with them. Right? Forgive them. Give them grace. They did the best they could.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I would tell my younger self that. I wish I could have got that to her a long time ago.
No,
Oh, man.
no, right?
Ugh. Anybody else in the chat?
How you doing, Chris?
Woo.
Good to see you. I think he was a professor.
Knowing what you know now. What would you tell your younger self? Don't be shy. We got like 8 minutes. What would you tell your younger self? To invest?
Oh.
To save more money?
That would have been.
Right?
Hey. Yeah.
What would
I
you
think
tell
for me, I would say dream. So I came from a place where survival was much more important than dreaming. Dreaming was like a luxury we really couldn't do. We're just trying to make it day to day.
Come on now.
We're just trying to make it check to check. We're just trying to make it moment to moment. And so it felt like too much of a luxury that took us away from here and now.
From the reality.
We needed to help do something about here and now.
Yeah.
We don't have time for all that. But I realized that in order for me to have hope about my future and a positive outlook on life, I needed to take some of that time to dream. Because if I didn't dream, I wouldn't be here today. Like ideas, trying new things, being able to dream with you, dream with my closest friends, dream with family members. It was really important. And that's something that was very good that I wish I could have got to my youngest back in survival mode.
Once again, you're watching Digital Discussions. And we're so glad that you joined us tonight. Digital Discussions, where we create and facilitate life-giving conversations where all people can thrive through equipping, encouraging, and inspiring in an authentic online community. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are on every Wednesday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. talking about a bunch of different things. We bring topics and we want to have a discussion with you. And so we got 5 minutes left. Want to invite anyone else into the chat before we log off. Our topic tonight is knowing what you know now. What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, I was going to say, you said 8.
I'm sorry, 9 to 10 o'clock.
9 to 10 Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
So my dad is on. Hey, Daryl, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Melody, good to see you as well.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in. If you missed this, you have to go back into the post and see what we were talking about. The topic is there below you. We've been talking about getting time to travel back in time. What we would tell our younger selves. And I think I've been actually putting what people have been saying in the chat up here too. So if you have anything that you would like to share that you would think, oh, this is good, I would literally tell my younger self. If I could tell my younger self this, I would be better off. Yeah. So that you know, retrospect is a good thing. Looking back and thinking about these things is really helpful.
You know, and even when you do things like this, it's important, I think, not
Oh yeah.
because it's easy to look back and be like, dang, here I'm because of what I did then. I look where I'm at now. And it can take you into a deep, dark place. And that's not what we want tonight. We want you to just look back and grow and learn from what happened back then. And be able to bring that into your future. Right?
Yeah.
To be able to help you to make decisions going forward. And so, please do not get off of this show tonight beating yourself up. It is what it is. And today is a new day.
Yeah.
And so we just want to encourage you. And I remember a pastor telling me a long time ago, you need to look back over your shoulder, and that will help you to be grateful for how good God has been to you.
Yeah.
Because he's brought you from a mighty long way. So as we have looked back over our shoulder tonight,
Yeah.
man, God is good.
You came from a mighty long way.
God is good.
Yeah, so what I would say about that is that praising God for progress
Yes.
and not perfection. We're all on a journey called life, and we learn things at different points in our life. And as long as we don't spend a lot of time comparing ourselves to the Joneses over there, and we can thank God for where we are, we can be content here and thank God that we are not what we want to be, but we're not what we used to be.
Yes.
And this exercise was designed to help you to be thankful and grateful for what you have learned now. So that, I mean, you can't go back in time and get it to your younger self, but because you now know it, you can live differently.
That's
You
right.
can live better. Yes. So this is a comment. She's just saying that she's so proud of us. And she's proud of you because you were out when mom was out there. You took care of the sisters, and you chose to pick up the slack. So she really thanks you.
Man, Mom, we
There's a lot of love
you
there.
too. We love you
Oh
too.
man,
Sharon, we're so grateful.
I got a hug and a kiss coming for you
That's
when I
right.
see you.
That's right.
But watch out there now, because I'm about to love you.
Amen. Well, it's 1 minute away. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. Meet us back here for digital discussions with the Delaneys every Wednesday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. right here on social media. Invite, like, share. Have people join us next week. We're excited. It's going to be almost spring break, but we still going to jump on here to have our hour of power. God
Yes.
bless you, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Have a good night. We will see you again next week. Like, follow, and subscribe. We will see you then. God bless y'all.
God bless you. Check out the chat. There's more discussion.
Have a good night.
Good night.